This is Victor Ocasio from Newsday, and we're going to talk about, you have an article in the business section. Was this in the paper?
Yes.
Okay.
This would have ran, I believe, sometimes I'm jumping from assignment to assignment, but it ran earlier this week.
Okay. Right. This is about the IDA approving tax breaks for the Islanders.
Yes.
For their $10 million Coliseum upgrade plan.
Yes.
What's going on there, Victor?
So in essence, the Islanders, through BSC Global, which is Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment, they operate the Coliseum and Brooklyn's Barclays Center. Back earlier this year, they submitted an application to the Nassau County Industrial Development Agency, and in essence, they were looking for tax assistance on improvements that they wanted to make to the interior of the Coliseum. The whole idea, of course, being that the Islanders are planning to temporarily come back to the Coliseum while their, built-to-suit new arena at Belmont is completed, and that's expected to happen in the next few years.
Boy.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, we have followed this for a while. I just think it's now they want tax breaks. Okay, great. When the guys, what was the name of the company that they own both the Barclays Center and the Coliseum?
They're formerly Brooklyn Sports and Entertainment. They now go by BSC Global.
Okay. Initially when they were talking about moving the Islanders out of the Coliseum and that they were supposed to go to the Barclays Center, most Long Islanders chimed in and said that they really weren't interested in going to Brooklyn to see them. They got a lot of, I guess, negative flack that they didn't expect, but they did the move anyway. And then they renovated the Coliseum, and now I understand it's down 1,500 seats than it was before. And now they are asking for tax breaks for a renovation that they shouldn't need to do, in my opinion. That's just my silly opinion.
I think there's others out there who have, certainly covering various industrial development agency projects. There's certainly, always some degree of pushback in various projects. I think what's important to note about this particular project regarding tax breaks is that the changes, the improvements that they're making to the interior directly relate to a majority of which relate to meeting National Hockey League standards. One of the bigger line items for this renovation is the upgrading of broadcast cable infrastructure, which essentially would allow them to broadcast their games on TV at the quality and then the needed recommendations that the NHL has. So those are the specifics in this particular case as it relates to the interior. There are other things like ice equipment that needs to be upgraded. There's going to be upgrades to the Islanders' locker room as well, and a few other things that they had mentioned during the meeting, like lighting for the arena. So those are the line items that are falling specifically, really just to meet the threshold that the NHL has for essentially have the Islanders be able to play there. Right.
Is one of those things more seats?
In terms of the particular line items I saw, there was nothing about the addition of seats.
Really? Because that's one of the things that disqualified them as an NHL arena.
Yeah, I'd have to go back to see in terms of the specifics that were listed. Again, some of these things can be rolled into other line items.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't see something specifically line item that had said, more seats or X number of seats. Yeah. That hadn't come up. It could be possible as part of it, but nothing in my reporting at this point had brought that up.
Well, it would make sense in our upside down world that we paid to have the seats taken out and that we would again pay to have the seats put back in for someone else's profit advantage. I mean, right? That's pretty much par for the course these days, right?
I can't speak too much on
yeah, no, you can't. I get that. Those are all my opinions. I'm just a newsreader. But, the other thing is the IDA now. Are they there to protect us, or are they there to protect businesses?
With the industrial development agencies on Long Island, and we have several of them, the two county ones, probably the largest ones, and you hear about them a lot. But the IDA's mission really is to help retain and facilitate the growth of enterprises and businesses for the betterment of their individual communities. The idea of job creation, job retention. Long Island's particular task in that, regardless of where you go, is part of that is balancing that with tax. The tax issues that we have: high property taxes, high cost of development, high cost of doing business in general. So those are the IDA's particular goals, really to work towards to support projects that are going to help support the economy, help grow, and help keep jobs. Right?
I know, and with that, all of that said, now they're looking for an abatement on $10 million worth of taxes. So why are we always paying the bill?
The Islander state.
Yeah, nevertheless, the IDA is in there and they approve a tax break. Whose pocket does that come out of? Not theirs, not businesses, ours. I'm getting the feeling the IDA may not necessarily be on my side of the of whatever battle this would turn into.
And I think part of the other thing about this particular project to also keep in mind is that this project also has support from the state and the governor's office as well. In terms of this total cost, the $9.9 million to make these interior fixes and updates, $6 million of that will be coming from Empire State Development, which is like the state's primary business aid agency.
Right.
And so that's where the majority of the money is coming from.
Which is our tax money, in effect, right?
Well, in terms of the state, and I have to be, there are people smarter than me here who know exactly how that works, because nothing is ever as straightforward as it should be.
That's true.
There's that money there is coming from the state. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, the governor, BSC, the Islanders made the announcement for this sort of half and half kind of situation where they'd be playing half their games at Barclays, half their games at the Coliseum for the remaining 3 seasons, and in theory should take them up to 2021, when at that point the Belmont Arena is said to be complete. That's the notion, and from that point they would then transition full time to being at Belmont, being back on Long Island. That's the idea.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about this deal? Or what do you see? It's
in terms of, from my perspective, it's interesting that obviously the state is involved in this project, obviously of importance to them. The governor had spoke previously about the importance of it sort of being a sad moment to have them leave, essentially their home to go out to Brooklyn. From that perspective, it's interesting that the state has taken an interest in this project, but it's not uncommon for the state to take interest in other Long Island projects. But, I'll tell you this. In terms of opinions, I really don't have a really strong way one way or the other.
Right.
I cover a lot of different IDA projects, but I will say from a reporter standpoint, it's kind of the perfect convergence of Long Island interests. You have a homegrown team, the Islanders, and you have tax breaks. Two things in the news that generate a lot of interest, a lot of concern, and they're happening all at once in one project. So from a reporter standpoint, it's interesting.
Oh yeah, you've got a lot to break apart and take a look at. As far as the governor goes, 3 weeks ago the governor was talking about putting a tunnel into Connecticut. So I'm not. He doesn't really. I don't know. I don't get any warm, fuzzy feeling from the governor wanting or not wanting anything, because as soon as the people on the North Shore of Long Island expressed their discontent with the idea of a tunnel in their backyard, he stopped talking about it. And it was actually the Newsday reporter who reminded me that this is an election year. And all of a sudden, everything came clear. Oh, right. I don't know. This just seems like a lot of financial shenanigans to me. The same company owns both venues. And I go back to the time when I remember when Charles Wang, the guy who owned Computer Associates, offered to pay for that whole thing. Everything. And everybody said no. So now they're going to nickel and dime us to death until I'm dead. We'll be hitting for $3 million here, $4 million there. You know what? If this team is so damn good and they're so, make the money. Make the money yourselves. Stop asking the taxpayers to constantly fork this stuff out. If I asked the Islanders for a break on my ticket, you think they'd give me one? No, I don't think they would. When I ask the IRS if they can give me a break on my taxes, do they give me one? No. But why is it I'm always hearing this from these successful businesses? Well, if you're so damn successful, pay your own bills. Why is socialism so terrible when they use it all the time, but the rest of us have to be capitalists? I'm really tired of it. I'm tired. And the other thing I'm tired of, although it really doesn't have to do with this, I'm really tired of people telling me that we're a country of laws. Because I keep telling them, I'll tell you what, I'll agree with we're a country of laws when I see one banker from 2008 standing in front of a judge. People who admitted criminal activity and wrecked our economy. Not one of them.
Well, to circle back.
Yeah, I know. I go off the rails once in a while, Oscar. I'm sorry, Victor. Victor, I'm sorry. You're the guy, But it just gets me because I keep hearing these same,
And in the course of covering, economic development issues, there rarely is ever a project that comes through that
that doesn't do that.
Asking questions. Yeah. There's rarely people have questions. They have concerns about that, but at the same time, the agencies they do due diligence to try to see economic impact and forecasts and what these things will bring. And I mean, tangentially related to that, and while I haven't done the reporting on this particular subject, but if you've read this week again, there was also other Coliseum news that, obviously there is now a plan announced Tuesday to begin work on other types of development in sort of the surrounding parcels of land outside of it, with the idea being that the upgraded arena will sort of be like this, my words more than anything, but a centerpiece to this overall development. And the idea being that you'll have, there'll be residential, retail, office space, and that's going to be around the 72 acres around the facility. So, And to be fair, too, one of the things that were mentioned during the IDA meetings on this particular project were the idea that a significant portion of these improvements, obviously the cable broadcasting system related to the NHL requirements, is that a lot of those improvements are going to be made would benefit, and they brought this up, that they would benefit future events at the Coliseum, even if there aren't Islander events there, that the improvements there would be good for the arena in general. I believe collegiate sports was mentioned in there as being a potential use for the arena that would see benefits from upgrades to lighting and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, and those are all, that's a great thing. They'll see benefits. I won't see any benefit from it. So why should I agree to a tax abatement? It just seems to me as though there's a handbook that says, okay, we're going to develop. Step 1, contact your local government for tax abatement.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I can say for certain the process is certainly not that easy. It is a process. It is a process.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is, but it's always included. It's all. It seems to be always the part. This one wants a tax abatement for this one wants a tax. I mean, maybe this should tell our leaders that our taxes are too damn high. If every company in the world wants a tax abatement every time they start a project on Long Island.
And